she's doing, join and fight with ISIS. I'm delighted to say I'm joined now by Kyle Orton, a research fellow from the Henry Jackson Society. Kyle, thanks for joining us here. So this woman, she's clearly not liked in this country. I don't think I've had a single listener thinking she should be allowed back into the UK. What can you tell us about her? What's the situation with her?
Well, she's 48. She's from Greenwich. She's been, as you said, a punk rocker in her youth. She's got 2 kids. And then obviously most importantly, she married Junaid Hussain, who was one of the earlier recruits to the Islamic State from Britain. And he was actually very important in their foreign intelligence operation, which is the means by which they direct these plots in the West. And she followed him, in that process of recruiting, radicalizing, and even, as we've heard, allegedly directing several plots in Western states. He's dead now. He was killed by an airstrike about 2 years ago, and she's still with us. Apparently, she now does want to leave the group. As you've mentioned, she's on, though, the sanctions list, the U.S. sanctions list, which means that she is a target at this point for as long as she's in Raqqa and indeed in Syria and Iraq and on a battlefield. And it's perhaps to avoid that fate that she's decided to try and leave. But the Islamic State isn't letting her because she's a military wife, she's a part of their organization, and they keep hold of such people.
Now, I believe, Kyle, I just want to come in here. I've seen Twitter accounts that belong to, not I don't think to her, but to some people within her group. When she was first reported upon, there were a few Twitter accounts that were still active. And it was very strange to get a glimpse into that world where women, and more so women, I'm told, are going online and being recruited. That standard of recruitment, that way of recruitment, appears to be more popular amongst women. Am I right about that?
It seems so in some sense, but only among those who were already radicalized. So if they were already living in very conservative or very extreme households, and so women were not really able to go outside, and so they were mostly online, and most of their interactions were online, they were more able to get at this information that way. There was also, though, a deliberate outreach campaign by the Islamic State to female recruits, and indeed their female recruits, the Western ones, formed an intelligence network, an apparatus in Raqqa to report on women who were not meeting the religious obligations and indeed who were trying to leave.
So she's been recruited via the internet, and then she's using the internet to recruit other people. It's part of a kind of a collective identity of people, I suppose, being a jihadist, right?
I'm not sure with Sally Jones exactly that she was recruited online, because she was a convert, so she wasn't stuck in the house when this happened, and she seems to have had a rather rackety life in her background, and indeed it was the redemption call that seems to have gotten to her as a prima mobile, as a primary motive for going to the Islamic State.
Yeah, now can I come in here also, Kyle? This is one of the, I guess, for want of a better word, part of the genius of this idea, is that as I understand it, the target is kind of people who are outside of society, people who've broken laws and so on, criminals and that kind of thing. You recruit them, first of all, because they are happy to do terrible deeds and they're not unfamiliar with violence or anything like that. So there's that angle to it. But that's what they do, because then you get redeemed, all your previous misdemeanors are forgotten, and you go straight to heaven, don't you? But doesn't that involve dying? I mean, surely she would want to die in order to get in there, no?
It depends on whether she's been disillusioned by life under the caliphate. I mean, some people do go there and find that it really wasn't what they expected and try to get out of it. But yes, you are right in the setup of that. I mean, back to the Islamic State's founder. The man is a Jordanian. His real name is Ahmed al-Halayla, but everybody else knows him as Abu Musab al-Sarkawi. And he was a street thug and a drug addict and a criminal. And in jail, he got religion very seriously, and he actually at one point carved a tattoo of him, because tattoos like music and things are banned under the jihadist interpretation of Islamic law, and he was embarrassed by these tattoos, so he actually just scraped them off. But this redemption ideal has gone all the way back to the very beginning of the organization.
Yeah, and like I say, as I understand it, it's quite an old recruiting tactic that you get kind of the people who oppose the society as part of your army. It happens in other contexts, doesn't it? I mean, the other question that I'm thinking to myself is that someone like this, if we were to bring them back into the country, what would be the sort of cost-benefit analysis of that?
I think, well, I don't see much. The benefit would be presumably information. She knows a great deal that she could tell us if she was brought back. She would have to be imprisoned, though. I mean, she's on the sanctions list, so among other things, even if we didn't have a crime that we were going to charge her with, there could well be extradition proceedings with the United States. But she's a citizen, so she is entitled to come back here. She also has a valid passport, presuming she hasn't destroyed it. She got a new passport in 2013, so she will have one until 2023.
Because it speaks to a dilemma that is now emerging into the mainstream, which has been around on the sort of the outskirts of this debate for some time. Anyone who considers it ends up, I think, going in this direction. It speaks to the question of whether or not we should have internment camps in this country, specifically for people like her who may well just recruit within the prison system. Where does the Henry Jackson Society stand on the idea of internment camps to tackle this problem?
Internment camps, I think, are a bad idea. Whatever security benefit you would gain from them, which is open to question, the political price for doing it would just be off the scale. You would just create intense polarization that would feed into the jihadists in a way that we just really can't afford. That's it. The idea of keeping certain prisoners away from the general population or the general prison population is not a stupid one, and could well be done. And this has been done with people like Anjem Chowdhury, who's currently in jail.
Oh, he's gone. Are you still there, Kyle? Sorry, we lost you for a second. Okay, no problem. So he was just speaking there about how they can be ostracised with